All right. I always wanted to start a stream that way, so I just wanted to show it off in the dark. You know what I mean? All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All good,
Okay.
Glenn. All
Got
good,
it.
brother.
Okay. All right.
Let's go ahead and turn on this banner here. All right. It is the first day of Halloween.
Happy first happy Halloween first to all the goth chicks out there who collect Funkos and Marilyn Manson vinyls.
Yeah. Great people.
Did you know Marilyn Manson was on an episode of Eastbound and Down?
Was he really?
Yeah, if you look it up, it's without face paint and shit. But yeah, it's like this episode where they're at like a drive-in or some shit, and he's working at the drive-in, and he's like without face paint.
Wow, I had no idea. I had no idea about that.
I think my dad pointed it out to me way back in the day when we watched that show, but yeah, it was weird.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had no idea. So I figured we could open with first of all, well, what we'll do is we'll open up with baseball and then get into Pete Rose. Because the playoffs did start today. And let's see here. The Tigers were the first ones to win. I mean, they were in the first game. It got dicey there at the end. You know, the Astros, you can never count them out of a game. You just can't.
The Mets won that makeup tiebreaker yesterday.
Yes.
So Frank the Tank's real happy.
Yeah, absolutely. We have
what else we got.
We have the Royals won 1-0 pitchers duel. That was a good game. We have one here in the bottom of the ninth going right now. The Brewers game here, Mets Brewers.
And then San Diego and Atlanta
is coming on, I think, in like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that. Yeah.
And then Detroit and Houston played this afternoon.
Oh, no, wait. Yes. So the Tigers were the first one to win. Yeah. Yep. In a great game. Like I said, the Astros, you can't count them out, dude.
Last year's World Series was putrid. I feel like every few years there's like this surprise team that makes it, and then they just get fucking embarrassed. It always reminds me of the year when the Rockies made it to the World Series, and then they just got swept by Boston, I think.
The Rockies went on a crazy tear to get there, though. Didn't they win 18 in a row or some shit, dude?
Yeah. And then if you also remember the year that the Nationals won the World Series.
Yeah.
Remember, they beat Oakland, rest in peace. They beat Oakland in the that was before they had more wild cards. So they that was back when they only had the one wild card spot, and they won on basically a fucking error, and then it went they won the World Series as a wild card.
Yeah. That was a crazy run too. I did want to say that we're doing the Vikings colors for the banner tonight in honor of Jack. And the amazing start that they're off to.
Yeah, 4-0. It's like it's cold up at the top. I need a coat.
And you want to know what's crazy? You have called this since before week 1, for months. You were saying Sam Darnold.
I just think that our coach and our GM are two really smart, Moneyball type dudes, and they know what they're doing. I'm like, we could have signed, the names that everybody talks about. We could have signed Russell Wilson or Jacoby Brissett or all those people, but I'm like, nah, they've got to see something in Darnold to sign him when all those other dudes were available.
Yeah,
even Justin Fields too.
Yeah, Justin Fields, he's had a decent start. I can't lie.
I'm one of those people where I don't talk a bunch of shit, but in my head, I got a coworker who made fun of me, or jokingly made fun of me in our office league. I drafted Justin Jefferson with my first pick, and he was like, he was like, well, why would you draft him? Who's even throwing to him this year? Yeah. And in my head, I didn't say anything, but in my head, I was like, just fucking watch us, though.
Yeah, watch us. See, Justin Jefferson's so good that it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. That's to begin with. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
It's probably going to be a year like the Case Keenum year, and then we'll get fucking sideswiped in the playoffs by somebody who's ready to play. Just like the Case Keenum year It was
Yeah.
the battle of the backups in the
Yeah, it was.
in the NFC Championship, and we got fucking lambasted by Nick
Yeah.
Foles and the Eagles.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
crazy that the final four in the NFL that year was Brady, Blake Bortles, Case Keenum, and Nick Foles.
You know, Blake Bortles and the Jags almost beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. They had
Yeah, I
that. They
remember
had
that.
most of that game, dude. They really did.
And that wasn't like because Blake Bortles was he was just kind of a system quarterback that year. He
Yeah.
wasn't like,
Yeah, he wasn't doing nothing special.
I don't think they kind of juggled around a few quarterbacks after that before they got Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I remember they had Gardner Minshew and like where I live, because Gardner Minshew is fifth year. Well, basically the reason he got drafted was because of his grad transfer year at Washington State University over here, and people were fucking in love with him. But I'm like, bro, he's never gonna come back here. It's not like you know, it's not like Adrian Peterson setting records at Oklahoma and he's this famous alumni. Like he had this okay year as a fifth-year grad transfer. I mean, it got him drafted, and he's the starter for the. He's had a very respectable career as a journeyman, but it was like people wouldn't shut the fuck up about him back in the day. Like they thought he was fucking should have got the Heisman that year. And again, I actually, as much as I'd say, I've actually rooted for him because like wherever he's gone. The quarterbacks went down and he's always won games. Like he started in Jacksonville. That was when they were awful. Then he was in Philly.
He just beat the Browns this past Sunday.
Yeah. He just beat the Browns. And then he was in Philly. And then last year, their rookie, Anthony Richardson, got hurt. And he was basically the starter all year for the Colts last year.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I fuck with any team that's a lovable loser or an underdog because that's what I've had to deal with my whole life, basically.
Yeah. So we can get into the Pete Rose thing. Rest in peace, Pete Rose, hit king.
I always, obviously Pete Rose is before my time, and all I've ever seen was obviously when he was on WrestleMania 14.
14 and 15, right?
Yeah, because it was the Boston WrestleMania, Mike Tyson and Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. And then I'll never forget. Oh, and then he came back and did some WWE shit a few years later because they inducted him to the Hall of Fame. And I'll never forget the quote when he said, it was the WrestleMania 14, 1998, when he said, I left some tickets for Bill Buckner, but he couldn't bend over to pick them up.
Yeah. So I want to say that he appeared in back-to-back WrestleManias. He got attacked by Kane at both. I think it was 14 and 15. I'm pretty sure it was back-to-back.
Yeah, because 15 is Austin and Rock and fucking Big Boss Man getting hung by The Undertaker. And then I know it was 14 for sure because obviously he made the joke about Boston.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
And then he got inducted in the Hall of Fame. I think he host Raw in the guest host era too.
Yeah. It's a crime to me that he's not in the fucking Hall of Fame, dude. 17-time All-Star. Okay. Like he has 400.
He played for a long time, didn't he? He played from like the 60s into the 80s, right?
Yeah. Well, let's see.
He like came back as I saw like a news or segment or something about him last night, and he like came back as a player coach in the 80s for the Reds.
Yeah, and that's when he got caught gambling, right?
Oh, okay.
But he never gambled against his own fucking team. Like he bet on his team to win.
Yeah,
he never had a bet against his own fucking team, bro.
Didn't that wide receiver Calvin Ridley like bet against his?
Yeah.
He got banned for like he's playing again, but he got banned for like a whole year.
Well,
but did he bet against himself?
Yeah, dude. Like if you pull up like some of the tape from that season, you could see him like doing his wild shit, like not getting his first downs on purpose and shit, dude.
Yeah. And then there was that Toronto Raptor last year who was betting on himself too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a guy who never.
I have no problem betting on yourself if you win. Like if you're betting on yourself to win.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me. But if you're betting on yourself to lose and like get a certain amount of yards and you don't want to get more than those yards, that's fucked up, dude. All
How
right,
many
so
years
Pete
did he play
Rose
for?
played from 1963 to 1986. So 24 years.
But and he never. Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
like Nolan Ryan played from like 68 to 93.
Yeah.
Then because I used to have all these baseball books. I still do somewhere, like my parents' house, but I had all these, baseball books when I was a kid. And there was this one guy who was on the White Sox. I think he was on some other teams named like Minnie Minoso, and he's like the only baseball player to appear in 4 decades. I think he played from 1949 to 1980. Like somewhere or another, he played that whole time.
Bro, he had 15 All-Star Game MVPs. That's insane, bro. All-Star MVP, the 15th. Look, there's 11th, the 15th. This is crazy. That's crazy, dude.
You think they'll let him in now that he died?
If they
Or
do,
would that just be a bad look on? That would just be a bad look on them, honestly.
I would feel disrespected.
What? Cut off.
If I was Pete Rose, I would feel disrespected.
It's kind of like China. Did I lose you?
Coming back.
Oh.
It throws me up. Sometimes when I do the share thing,
yeah,
it'll freeze my camera.
It'll buffer a little bit. There we go.
Okay, I'm back now. Okay, so we do have a vice presidential debate coming up at 9. It's going to run till 10:30.
JD Vance versus Tim Walz.
Yes,
they should just do it like celebrity death match.
The debate that the country has been waiting for. Not really.
Do you remember?
I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Do you remember back in the day when they had on Monday Night Raw? It must have been in 2008 when they had like the fake Hillary and fake Obama on Raw.
Yes. Yeah. And
it's a dark time.
Yeah.
People keep bringing up. Oh, go ahead.
Do you think that was like the darkest era of Raw, like entertainment wise?
So I started watching wrestling full time in 2007 when I was 11, but I had watched it a couple times prior, about 2 years before. It was actually. So the first time I ever watched wrestling was basically like the build up to SummerSlam 2005. So literally the first time I ever watched wrestling when I was 8 years old, I saw Dominic Mysterio on TV, and now he's one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah.
And I was like, this, and like I was 8 years old. I didn't know what it was real, fake, whatever. Right. And like it was this one episode of SmackDown where like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio were like cutting this promo on each other, and like the lights were out. Mm-hmm. And Eddie's cutting this promo, and he's like, "Yeah, Dom, I'm your father." And then Dom, like Dom's like the same age as me, so he's a little kid at the time, and he's like, "Is it true, Dad?"
Yeah.
And now all these years later, full circle, he's one of the biggest stars in wrestling.
Yeah, one of the biggest heels of all time, honestly.
And I remember the very first, because I think, I watched like a few SmackDowns, but like I was a little kid, so like I never kept on with it after that, like a couple times in the summer. But I remember the very first time I ever watched SmackDown, it was like I saw that, and then I saw like Batista and Orlando Jordan and shit. And then I saw The Undertaker's entrance for the first time when I was 8 years old, and I was like, that was so fucking scary. Like, I'd be so scared if I was in the arena. And I'll never forget the first time I ever went to a show was just like a Yakima house show when I was 11. So, no, 12. So, and the main event was a tag, because you know how, like, a lot of times in these house shows, they'll just throw all the stars together in, like, a tag team match. So it was Triple H. It was Triple H. It was Triple H and Undertaker versus Vladimir Kozlov and Big Show. And Undertaker was the last one to come out, obviously. And like, I just remember being like so nervous. I'm like, I don't know, am I gonna be scared? Like, And for a while, WWE was really lacking in roster depth. I remember talking to one of my friends about that show. Like that show alone had Edge, Jeff Hardy, Triple H, Undertaker, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, all on there. And then when WWE was really, struggling in like 2019, I remember I was talking to a friend about that, and he was like, that just goes to show how dorky the roster is now compared to then.
Yeah. Well,
and I feel like they find after all these years of Raw being 3 hours, they're finally making it 2 hours at the wrong time. Like sometimes on my way to work, because I have Sirius Radio, I listen to Bully Ray's podcast. There's a Sirius XM station.
Radio?
There's a Sirius XM station called Busted Open that's all about wrestling and UFC and shit. And I can't remember who was on his show like last week, but he's like, they finally made it work with 3 hours, and now they're taking it away. And like, look at all these guys who have thrived with it being 3 hours, like Dragunov and Bronson Reed and all those guys who probably wouldn't even be on the show if it wasn't 3 hours. And it's like, now that it's going back to 2 hours, like, what's going to happen to those guys? I mean, Dragunov's out for a year now with a torn ACL, but there's all these guys that like would be, but then there was a time where they had a loaded roster
with only 2 hours. But see, the thing is, like, the people who say that they like the Attitude Era stuff, it's like you must have really liked disqualifications, because that's how like everything went on Raw. Like, because they had so much talent with so little time to fill. So you got to like create a story somehow. You got to get him on screen. Someone jumps a guy, costs him a match, and there you go.
You go back. I mean, of course, like every era has its gold and its dog shit, but like there's a lot of people say that's the greatest era in wrestling, and I don't particularly think any era is necessarily better than the other, but you go and watch like some pay-per-view like St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and like 2/3 of that card is fucking unwatchable besides the main event and something else on the upper mid card. But what I was saying was there was a time when Raw was 3 hours and they had this loaded roster and they didn't know what the fuck to do with them. Like I guess that's back when Vince was in charge. So again, he was out of fucking touch. But there was a time where they would call people up from NXT and they'd have a couple like stupid squash matches for a month and then never be seen. Like when they brought back EC3 to NXT, and then I was like, I thought that was like considered a big signing because he got let go by WWE. He went on this really nice run in independence and in TNA and stuff, and then they brought him back, had a good little run in NXT again, and then they brought him up to the main roster. He had 3 fucking matches, and then he was in catering and backstage 24/7 title shit the rest of the way.
Well, I guess the story behind that was because around the time that Ambrose was going to leave, like he was on like his farewell tour, he ran a match against EC3 here.
I remember that.
Yeah, so
that might have been his first one on the main roster when they brought him back.
Right. So it was a stupid thing to do because you're not going to get over with people by being the dude who sends Dean Ambrose away. You know what I mean? Like that's how it looks. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do it. People are going to cheer for fucking Dean Ambrose because they know he's leaving.
But by the time Dean Ambrose, Moxley left, what they were doing with him was virtually fucking unwatchable too. And when he first got to AEW, like his first year in AEW, it was awesome. And I don't know. I mean, obviously everybody knows the state of AEW. It's just a fucking mess. But it's like, I don't know if his act just like has gotten stale or just like old, but like there's kind of nothing like honest. There was a time 2014 to 2016 he was like my favorite wrestler in the whole world. And
he was money, dude.
And then now it's just like I don't. And again, like the first year in AEW when he won the title and he had those first few feuds, it was awesome because it was like it was kind of back to his independent character as opposed to a more cleaner version that we saw in WWE. And then so his first year in AEW, it was awesome because it's like, oh, this is what he's always wanted to do, but he's been
Right.
held back by Vince McMahon and stuff. So I don't like, it's just kind of grown old to me, or I just don't really know.
Yeah.
And then now I'm going to Wrestle Dream in 2 weeks, and he's wrestling Danielson for the title.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. 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 Do you think Tony would pull the trigger and put the title, like take it? Because as well, maybe not everyone knows because not everyone watches AEW, but Bryan Danielson basically said that when he loses the title, that he's done. Like he's going to hang it up. You know, he's going to retire. So it's kind of a big deal, like who he loses it to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like originally, what I thought was he lost it to Swerve. Obviously, I thought some way or another, like Swerve went back into the picture with Hangman. I thought some way or another Swerve would find himself back in the title picture for this pay-per-view because Daniel Bryan and Swerve are both from Washington. Swerve's literally from Tacoma, where it actually is. Yeah. And Bryan Danielson Washington's just his home. So I thought that Bryan Danielson announced at like the beginning of this year that this was going to be his last year of wrestling. And then I think it was pretty early on in the year that they announced Wrestle Dream was going to be in Washington again. And then, so I'm like, oh, that's towards the end of the year, perfect for a retirement match. So then as time went on and he won the title, I kind of thought, well, he could, drop it to Swerve in kind of a Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair way, and then still have that proper send-off in Washington. But now it's like, I don't really see him losing to Moxley but I don't know. I thought that it being in Washington towards the end of the year was like the perfect send-off, but it doesn't seem like that's the direction it's going in now. But I could be completely wrong. That could happen, but it doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, I think Danielson holds it to the end of the year. Like
because the last pay-per-view is in Long Island again. Isn't it called World's End? Or it's in Is it in New York? There's another one coming up in New York, I know.
It might be Full Gear.
Yeah, it's Full Gear, or it's that
World's End.
Yeah, because World's End was in, because that's where MJF lost the title in his hometown in Long Island last year.
Right. Yeah. So you did have something that you wanted to talk about. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. This is something that's going to directly. Yes. Yeah. This is something.
Like I saw. So it was after because after the Sunday Night Football game, it plays like the local news here, and I saw that, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I found an article. I found that article for it. It doesn't it kind of, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of it has a great meaning to it, but it's like the Warrior Award. Remember the Warrior Award was supposed to be for like the people who make WWE happen, like the people who fucking take the ring down and put it in the semi truck, but then they just give it to a person with an illness or something, which is great too, but it was like, that's not what the award was for. Literally the Ultimate Warrior said it was for, I want to recognize the people who, do all the backstage work, who drive the semi trucks with the stage equipment in them. But there's this this is about don't drive what was it? It's something about week without driving over here in Washington State. Yeah.
Week Without Driving kicks off with panel discussing Tri-Cities public transportation.
Yeah, so Tri-Cities is about an hour away from me. And
so this is about disability rights?
Yeah. So if you read the article there, it says disability rights Washington urges people to experience life week without driving to understand difficulties faced by those who can't drive. And I'm like, I know not everybody drives, but what am I supposed to do now? So for a week I have to spend 40. I already spend all this money on gas. Now for a week I have to spend $40 a day on Ubers, which if there's even Ubers available, because in Yakima there isn't always Ubers available. Like, for example, there's like the little
Right.
airport there's just a little airport in Yakima, and all it does is it takes you on a 20-minute flight to the Seattle airport, which then you get on your flight to wherever in the world. So so sometimes with my mom, who's traveling this week, what I do is she leaves her car at the airport and I have a spare key. So then I go get a ride either from like my dad or somebody, and then I drive back to her house so she doesn't have to pay for the parking for like a week. So there's been times where I've tried to Uber to her car on like a Tuesday night and there's no Ubers available. So like, how am I supposed to get to work? I'm supposed to pay for a bus pass for 1 week. I'm supposed to pay $40 for Uber a day. Like, how, like, I get the message, but like I'd rather like donate to a cause or something than have this concept. And I have nothing against it.
It about disability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I thought it was gonna be like some environmental shit, honestly.
Yeah, no. I didn't know it was about disability. People with disabilities who can't drive, which obviously I'm empathetic for. Like, I'd rather donate to a cause than completely inconvenience myself for a week.
Right. Yeah, it's a little crazy. Okay. I mean, hopefully people participate. I mean, hopefully, not everyone can participate, but maybe people will. I don't know.
I hope someone does. Someone can do it. Someone can volunteer for me as tribute, like in the Hunger Games.
Yeah. There you go. We did lose another giant, literally, in the sports world. Dikembe Mutombo.
Dream Shake.
As well. Yeah. Very sad. Brain cancer, man.
I keep up on every kind of news enough, and I never knew that.
Yeah.
It just slipped my mind.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing it, but it's not something that was covered like, like I think I heard about it when it was first announced, and that was it.
Like nobody, because he was born in like Nigeria or something. So
yeah,
when he played, nobody actually knew how old he was. And people were thinking, like, apparently there was word that he was actually like 3 years older than he was. So if that's true, he was playing like well into his 40s because he played until at least like 2007, I think.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he made it to the mid 2000s. Yeah.
Which reminds me of, remember that one baseball player who played for the Moneyball A's and then later Baltimore, Miguel Tejada? Like, they actually proved that he was lying about his age, and he was like, I couldn't remember if he was younger or older than he was. I think he was older than he was saying.
He was older and didn't it ended up fucking his career up, right?
Yeah, and then there was another guy. I just remember because he pitched for Cleveland, so they played the Twins all the time. And his name on the video game and everything was Fausto Carmona. And then something got found out that he was like using a fake visa or a fake ID or something, and like his name was actually Roberto Hernandez. And then there was also another guy who was a good pitcher. So that was
that actually happened to Giancarlo Stanton too. He used to be Mike Stanton.
Well, I thought he changed his name to Giancarlo because it was something about he wanted his name to be the same as his dad or something.
Oh,
I thought that he never got in trouble
using some. Yeah, I thought he got caught using some shit.
But like it says, Hernandez was a regular part of the Indians' starting rotation for 6 years under the name of Fausto Carmona, which he had used to obtain a visa to pitch in the United States. After Hernandez's true name and age were revealed, he had also claimed to be 3 years younger than he really was. I remember when this happened. Hernandez missed much of the 2012 season due to a lack of a valid visa, followed by a suspension from MLB for identity fraud. I'm surprised he didn't go to prison. I'm surprised he didn't go to prison.
For real.
Back. Then there was that other guy who was pretty good. He was on the maybe, I don't know. There was another guy, Edinson Volquez. I thought something like that happened to him, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh, yeah. Okay. Which this doesn't make as much sense. It says Volquez signed with the Rangers in 2001 under the name Julio Reyes. He went by Edinson Volquez after 2003. So that doesn't really make. I don't know the whole story about that one. And then
because I know Edinson Volquez.
I remember him. He was like a big, tall, like lanky dude on the
Yeah.
Reds who had like dreads and shit.
Yeah,
Giancarlo Stanton.
he was good.
His story was, why did Mike so? His father, Stanton's mother, calls him Cruz, but his father and other relatives call him Mike or Mikey. As a child, he was known as Giancarlo, but switched to Mike in 6th grade because he was tired of being mocked for his original name and having it mispronounced. So his was just like always been
bullied.
his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so he was known as Mike Stanton throughout his high school and minor league career and for his first 2 years as a major leaguer. After a trip to Europe in the 11-12 offseason, during which he frequently heard names like Gianpero, Gianpaolo, and Gianluigi, he made it known before the 2012 season that he preferred to be called Giancarlo.
Okay. I could have sworn there was some legal shit. I could have thought.
People made fun of him or mispronounced it. Like, why is Giancarlo's a cool name, like the Breaking Bad guy, Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
People used to make fun
Yeah.
of my name. Like when I was in elementary school and shit, people used to make fun of my name and called me jackass and jack off and all that shit. But now everybody thinks my name's cool. Like
Yeah.
doesn't even believe it's actually my name like
Yeah.
half the time. So I have to show them like my license or something. There was a kid.
Joe
when I was like,
Joe Biden loves your name. He loves that shit, dude. Listen up, Jack. He's saying that shit all the time, Joe Biden.
So did Hulk
He does.
Hogan.
Listen up, Jack. Yeah. Yeah. The Hulkster too.
Brother Jack, dude.
Yeah. Let's see. When it comes to the playoff baseball pitcher, who do you think who's the scariest team on each side to you? Because to me, on the AL side, it's the Tigers, and on the NL side, it's the Mets.
I think so, especially the Tigers, because they've just been white hot since that Little League World Series. That late August, they were like down and out, and then
dude,
they just came out of fucking nowhere.
I was watching it today, and they said the record since that Little League World Series game they played against the Yankees. Since that game, their record was 31-13.
While the Twins was the opposite. We lost like 25 of our last 34 or something like that.
Yeah. That's a rough collapse.
I'm going to take the 4 to come out of the 2 to come out of each division. I'm going to do I foresee another Yankees and Tigers ALCS.
I can see it, man.
And then NL, I see I see Dodgers and Mets and LCS.
The Dodgers, they're just such a letdown every time.
Every year. The only time they won it was the
shortened year.
The fake COVID.
Yeah.
Which, of all the sports that came back and did the bubble, I feel like the MLB was the least legitimate of them all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because NHL and NBA was almost over when the season got shut down as it was. Like, how can you judge off of 60 games when a bunch of guys dropped out of the season because they were scared to play and stuff?
Yeah.
It was literally like that whole based on luck and timing. Like, to me, I see like the NBA and NHL more of like those are legit titles.
Yeah, I agree. Because
I think the MLB
it was what, a 60-game season?
Yeah, it started. I think beginning. Yeah, because NBA Disney World bubble started like around my birthday, like July 26th, and they started like the next week or two after that.
Right. So, yeah. like not even half a season. It's a third of a season. These guys are conditioned to play like
Yeah.
162 and then more. Like I don't know. Yeah, I think it was bullshit, dude. I don't recognize that World Series. It should be an
Yeah.
asterisk. It should have an asterisk.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, all the sports should be an asterisk, but that one the most. That one should have 3 asterisks next to it.
Yeah. There needs to be more than one. Absolutely.
Because then what? The World Series? Oh yeah, it was. They did it at neutral sites. They did some of the playoffs in like San Diego and some of them at the Texas Rangers.
That's right. Yeah. What a weird time.
Yeah, I miss it. I miss it sometimes. I kind of wish I could relive it, but like with the brain I have now.
Yeah.
Because back then I was like scared and like I didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen and stuff. But now like I wish we could relive it sometimes, but with the brain I have now.
Yeah. It was definitely a time to remember and a time to forget too. But it was something. It was something I'll never forget.
You got any thoughts on the world? The price you pay?
Oh, yes. So actually, let's introduce the world to
Monty fucking Lee.
Monty Lee, who is he's trying to pull off something generational here, guys. He really is.
Like it's Forrest Gump. It's Forrest Gump on fucking steroids.
Except slower,
way slower.
Yeah. All right, let's see here.
I hate going to like Target or Walmart and getting like one of those shopping carts with the shitty wheels on it. Imagine that one he's pushing across America is one of those ones with the fucking shitty faulty wheel on it, just fucking grinding against the interstate streets in fucking potholes and stuff.
Should we show them my thoughts on the world one? Is that the one you think we should show?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here, guys. You're about to meet. This is Monty Lee.
Want to do a quick.
This is somebody I grew up with. Oh shit! Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so this is someone I grew up with. His name is Monty Lee. I went to school with him, and I'll never forget that I accidentally left my jacket in his locker. And I was like, I don't know how old I was. I was young though. I think I wasn't in middle school yet, so I was still in grade school. So my stepdad picks me up from school, and he gave me like a brand new jacket to wear. It wasn't old at all. It was probably like a week or two old, something like that. It was still kind of new. So he was like, "Where's your jacket? Like I just bought this shit for you." So I'm like, I left it in my friend's locker, and he's like, "Who?" And I'm like, "Monty." And this motherfucker turned his head to me, bro. He whipped his head around to the back seat and was like, "Monty, who? Don't even say Lee." And I'm like, "Why?"
Don't you dare say fucking Lee.
And unfortunately, it was Monty Lee. And he was like, "They got fucking roaches and shit." And I'm like, I didn't know that. I only know him from school, bro. I didn't know. All right. Let's show you our good friend of the show before the vice presidential debate kicks off.
Yeah, we're gonna
let's show you his thoughts.
I actually and fun fact, I actually talked to Monty last night, and we're fixing to have him on the show as soon as he gets some things situated.
Yes, he has to get everything settled on his end, which is understandable. He is legitimately hiking.
Did that have sound? I didn't hear anything.
You didn't hear it?
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, it was playing on my end.
Yeah, like I didn't hear anything, so that's why I was asking if there's sound. But I guess we can see what it's like on the finished product. Otherwise, we can
Yeah.
run it back.
If it didn't play, I'll just edit that out because I know how to do that.
Yeah,
now.
that's fine. Yeah, there was no sound on my end, so I didn't know what was up. But
Okay.
either way, it's all good. Before we
Yeah.
head into the debate, you want to finish with the stench of the week?
Yes. Let's do that. Actually, let me go ahead.
Let's see here. It is while he's bringing it up. It's called
Yes.
the Jack London Inn in Oakland,
It sure
California.
is. Yes.
In honor of the debate, in honor of our homegirl Kamala, it's the Jack London Inn in Oakland, California. It has a 1.5. It says a 1.4 star average. We're gonna go to the reviews while he pulls that up.
Yeah, I got it coming up right now.
They're all, oh god, they're all like that one. Those other ones we read had like some good ones. These ones are fucking all bad.
Yeah.
We can just start from the top.
Okay.
You got it on the Yelp.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Isabel P. Yeah. You want me to read? I'll read this one. Isabel. All right.
Oh shit. All right.
All right. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. If you need a cheap, by Bay Area standards place, this'll do. Don't expect anything other than the basics. You get what you pay for. I felt safe enough and the actual room was clean. Overall, the motel has a shabby appearance with a lot of deferred maintenance, chips, scratches, sticker residue, etc. I saw at least 5 different desk workers while I was there 4 nights. Everyone was glued to their phone and didn't bother saying hello or goodbye. Would not recommend unless you're just all about the budget. That one's just kind of a Karen. They're kind of complaining about nothing.
Yeah.
This one right here, I took a peek at while I was at work.
Okay.
I saw a little bit of
Okay.
it, and it says, Brooke, 5 months ago. Where to start? We booked this hotel because it was cheap. So obviously we had no expectation of luxury or anything. However, what I also had no expectation of was waking up at 7 a.m. to someone banging on our door, screaming, accusing us of coming into his room and stealing his crack. Kind of sounds like your old apartment building.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah.
Or of
Very
the
much.
fat old man at the front desk screaming at me to the point of tears. I'm fragile. Leave me alone. After politely and calmly asking to get clarification from him on why there were 3 charges on my account that didn't match what I had agreed to book, or finding the hallway covered in blood spatter our last morning there. We made the best of a bad situation, but at the end of the day, I was charged $20 per night more than I had agreed to upon booking. So the sacrifice of comfort for something cheap ended up being just as expensive if we had booked somewhere nicer. The crackhead didn't return to let us know he had found his crack. And was very sorry for accusing us. So at least there's that. Did return. My bad. Needless to say, it was quite an experience. If you're looking for a dingy, drug-filled crash pad, Jack London Inn is right for you. If not, I highly recommend choosing literally anywhere else.
I'm sure.
All right.
I'm sure there is a section of the audience that would like a dingy, drug-filled crash pad.
A flea bag.
So,
all right, we'll read 2 more, and then we'll skip out for the debate. Right. Let's see here. Stella A. Only a month ago. I am a challenged adult, 67, and traveling from Santa Barbara to Sacramento via Amtrak. This trip, I have 20-plus hour layover, so I booked a room here. I got into Oakland early, and no, I can't check in until later this afternoon, but I expected to sit quietly in lobby until check-in time. The cold old man at front counter wouldn't let me stay. So now I am sitting outside. Oh, this is a live review. So now I am sitting outside in the cold, damp air and have to wait 8 hours.
What a dick.
I will never book here again. Last time the young man that was here let me check in early.
What a dick.
This one's got some pictures to it. Mike F. 2 months ago,
Okay.
1 star. Shabby but not chic. The room looked into the broken windows of the abandoned rail yard building across the narrow alley. That actually sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it does actually.
The graffiti, train whistles, and crossing bells during the night all contributed their unique charm. The bathroom sink was disgusting. The shower and toilets were clean. TG. I don't know what
Oh,
that means.
good lord.
The
This is
only
disgusting.
hot thing at the breakfast buffet was the toaster next to the loaf of Wonder Bread. The sparsely furnished breakfast room refitted with exposed fire sprinkler pipes looked out onto the inaccessible, unfurnished patio storage area, drained pool, that's lovely, and a dead, still decorated Christmas tree. That's lovely.
Wow. So this is what shabby not chick means, if you're
Yeah,
wondering.
bag
right?
of Cheetos, a chipped up table.
You got the Bible though. You got the Bible, dude. All right.
You gotta put it in the drawer while you
Yeah.
beat Drake's ass.
Yeah, you do actually. All right, America. Go enjoy your debate. We'll be back.
And we'll be
after.
back. We'll be back. I'll be doing my best Van Jones impression on our little debate recap later. But for now, we'll tune in. We'll tune in. We're ready.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys after this debate here in 90 minutes.
Peace.
Later.